Welcome to the Shadows, a journey through America's most haunted cemeteries. Hello, dear friends, and welcome back to another spine-chilling episode of our haunted storytelling series. If you've joined us before, you know we thrive on uncovering the darkest corners of history, the places where the veil between the living and the dead grows thin. Tonight, we're venturing into one of the most unsettling realms imaginable, the final resting places of the departed. These are not just graveyards. They are sanctuaries of sorrow, echoes of the past, and gateways to the unknown. From the moss-draped tombs of New Orleans to the windswept headstones of the Midwest, the United States is home to some of the most haunted cemeteries in the world. Each one carries its own unique history, its own tragic stories, and its own chilling encounters that defy explanation. Cemeteries have always held a special place in our collective imagination. They are places of remembrance, of mourning, and of history, but they are also places where the supernatural seems to linger. Whether it's the flicker of a phantom light in the distance, the whisper of an unseen voice, or the sudden drop in temperature on a summer night, these sacred grounds are said to be teeming with the energy of those who have passed. Some believe that cemeteries are where spirits remain tethered to the world, unable, or unwilling, to move on. Others suggest that the sheer weight of human emotion, of grief and loss, leaves an imprint on the land itself, making these places hotbeds of paranormal activity. Tonight, we're counting down the top 10 most haunted cemeteries in the United States, locations where history, tragedy, and the supernatural collide in the most terrifying ways. From the infamous Lafayette Cemetery in New Orleans, where voodoo priestesses are said to still roam, to the eerie silence of Sleepy Hollow, where the legend of the Headless Horseman looms large, each of these burial grounds has earned its reputation through decades, sometimes centuries, of inexplicable phenomena. Whether you're a believer, a skeptic, or simply someone who enjoys a good ghost story, these places will send shivers down your spine. So, if you're ready to step into the shadows, grab a blanket, turn off the lights, and prepare yourself for a night of terror. Whether you believe in the paranormal or not, these stories will leave you questioning what really lies beneath the surface of the earth, and what waits patiently beneath the headstones of America's most haunted cemeteries. Without further ado, let's begin our descent into the darkness. Number 10 on our list might surprise you, and trust me, things only get scarier from there. Lafayette Cemetery. Number 1. Whispers beneath the moss-covered tombs. Our journey into America's most haunted cemeteries begins in the heart of New Orleans, where the past is as alive as the city's vibrant jazz melodies and the scent of beignet drifting through the French Quarter. Lafayette Cemetery. Number 1, established in 1833, is a labyrinth of above-ground tombs, crypts, and mausoleums, their stone facades weathered by time and draped in moss that clings like a shroud. It is a place steeped in history, where the echoes of the city's Creole heritage intertwine with tales of voodoo, tragedy, and the supernatural. But beyond its architectural beauty and cultural significance, Lafayette Cemetery. Number 1 is infamous for the eerie phenomena that have drawn paranormal enthusiasts, historians, and thrill-seekers alike. The cemetery's haunted reputation is inextricably linked to one of the most legendary figures in New Orleans history, Marie Laveau, the Voodoo Queen. Born in 1794, Laveau was a respected healer, spiritual leader, and practitioner of voodoo, a syncretic religion brought to Louisiana by enslaved Africans. Her influence extended far beyond the African American and Creole communities, earning her both reverence and fear. According to local lore, Laveau performed rituals and ceremonies in the cemetery, summoning spirits and casting spells beneath the flickering glow of candles. She was believed to possess immense power, capable of granting favors, curses, and even glimpses into the future. Marie Laveau's final resting place is said to be within the Glapian family tomb in Lafayette Cemetery. Number 1, though the exact location remains a mystery. Some claim her body was moved after her death in 1881, while others insist she orchestrated her own disappearance, choosing to live on as a spirit rather than a corpse. Whatever the truth, visitors to the cemetery have long reported strange occurrences near the Glapian tomb. Red candles are often found burning atop the crypt, even when no one is seen lighting them. Mysterious symbols and offerings, such as bones, feathers, and small trinkets, appear overnight, left by those seeking Laveau's favor or attempting to communicate with her spirit. Some claim to have seen a shadowy figure gliding between the tombs at dusk, vanishing into the mist before they can approach. Beyond the legend of Marie Laveau, Lafayette Cemetery No. 1 is said to be haunted by countless other spirits, some benevolent, others far more sinister. Visitors have described hearing faint whispers in languages long forgotten, their voices rising from the depths of the tombs as if carried by an unseen wind. The sound of footsteps echoing through the narrow pathways, despite no one else being present, is a common occurrence. Some have even reported feeling an unseen presence brushing past them in the darkness, only to turn and find no one there. One of the most chilling accounts comes from a group of paranormal investigators who conducted an overnight vigil in the cemetery. Equipped with infrared cameras and audio recorders, they set up near the entrance, capturing footage of the tombs bathed in moonlight. As the night progressed, they noticed something strange, an orb of light hovering above one of the older crypts. It flickered and pulsed, moving slowly before vanishing into the air. Moments later, one of the investigators claimed to hear a woman's voice whispering his name, though no one else was present. When he turned around, he swore he saw the silhouette of a woman standing near the Glapian tomb, her long dress trailing behind her. As he stepped forward, the figure disappeared, leaving only the sound of the wind rustling through the trees. Another unsettling phenomenon reported by visitors is the sudden drop in temperature that occurs without warning. Even on warm summer nights, certain sections of the cemetery become unbearably cold, as if the very air has been drained of warmth. Some believe this is the result of residual energy left behind by those who suffered tragic deaths, victims of yellow fever outbreaks, duels, and unsolved murders that once plagued the city. Others suggest that the cemetery is a gateway to another realm, where the spirits of the dead linger, waiting for someone to listen. Despite its haunted reputation, Lafayette Cemetery No. 1 remains a popular destination for tourists and locals alike. It is a place where history and the supernatural coexist, where the past refuses to be forgotten. Whether you believe in ghosts or not, there is something undeniably eerie about walking among the tombs, knowing that the souls of the departed may be watching from beyond the veil. For those who dare to visit, Lafayette Cemetery No. 1 offers an experience unlike any other, a glimpse into a world where the boundaries between life and death blur, and where the whispers of the dead still echo through the moss-covered stones. St. Louis Cemetery No. 1, the final resting place of legends tucked away behind wrought iron gates in the heart of New Orleans' French Quarter, lies St. Louis Cemetery No. 1, the oldest continuously active cemetery in the city. Established in 1789, this sacred ground is a maze of towering tombs, crumbling crypts, and weathered headstones, many of which bear the names of New Orleans' most infamous historical figures. It is here that the spirits of the past are said to linger, drawn to the city's rich cultural heritage and the lingering echoes of voodoo rituals that once took place within its walls. Among the most celebrated and feared of these spirits is none other than Marie Laveau, the legendary voodoo queen, whose tomb has become a pilgrimage site for those seeking her favor or fearing her wrath. The legend of Marie Laveau is deeply intertwined with the history of St. Louis Cemetery No. 1. While some believe she is buried in Lafayette Cemetery, others insist that her final resting place is within the Glapian family tomb in this very cemetery. Regardless of the debate, her presence is undeniable. Visitors to her tomb often leave behind offerings, roses, coins, and even bottles of rum, hoping to gain her favor. The tradition of marking the tomb with 3XS in red chalk is said to bring good fortune to those who follow it, though some warn that failing to honor the ritual properly may invite her wrath. Witnesses claim to have seen the XS mysteriously appear overnight, even after being scrubbed away, as if Laveau herself ensures her legacy remains unbroken. Beyond Marie Laveau's tomb, St. Louis Cemetery No. 1 is said to be haunted by a host of other restless souls. The cemetery was once the final resting place of many victims of the yellow fever epidemics that ravaged New Orleans in the 19th century. With thousands buried in mass graves, some believe that the suffering of those who died in agony lingers in the air, manifesting in inexplicable chills, whispered voices, and fleeting shadows that vanish when approached. Visitors have reported hearing the distant sound of a woman sobbing, only to find no one nearby. Others have described the sensation of being watched, as if unseen eyes are peering from the depths of the tombs. One of the most unsettling aspects of St. Louis Cemetery No. 1 is the eerie silence that often falls over the grounds, even in the midst of a bustling city. Despite its proximity to the lively streets of the French Quarter, the cemetery exudes an unnatural stillness, broken only by the occasional rustle of wind or the distant toll of a church bell. Some believe this silence is a sign that the spirits within are aware of your presence, listening, waiting. Others suggest that the cemetery exists in a liminal space between the living and the dead, where the laws of the physical world bend to accommodate the supernatural. Perhaps the most chilling reports from St. Louis Cemetery No. 1 involve the phenomenon of apparitions appearing in photographs. Visitors who take pictures of the tombs often return home to find strange anomalies in their images: ghostly figures standing near the graves, shadowy silhouettes lurking in the background, and orbs of light that were not visible to the naked eye. Some claim that these images capture the spirits of those who have never truly left this world, their essence still clinging to the stones that mark their final resting place. Despite its haunted reputation, St. Louis Cemetery No. 1 remains a place of reverence and fascination. It is a testament to the city's complex history, where life, death, and the supernatural intertwine in ways that defy explanation. Whether you believe in ghosts or not, there is something undeniably eerie about walking through its narrow pathways, knowing that the souls of the past may be watching from beyond the veil. For those who dare to visit, St. Louis Cemetery No. 1 offers an experience unlike any other, a glimpse into a world where history and the supernatural coexist, and where the whispers of the dead still echo through the tombs. Sleepy Hollow Cemetery, the legend of the Headless Horseman. Deep in the heart of Westchester County, New York, lies a place where history and legend intertwine in the most spine-chilling way possible. Sleepy Hollow Cemetery. This quiet burial ground, nestled among rolling hills and ancient trees, is forever linked to one of America's most enduring ghost stories, The Legend of Sleepy Hollow by Washington Irving. Published in 1820, Irving's tale introduced the world to Ichabod Crane, the superstitious schoolteacher who meets his doom at the hands of the Headless Horseman. But while the story is a work of fiction, the town of Sleepy Hollow and its cemetery are very real, and many believe that the spirit of the Headless Horseman still roams the grounds, searching for his missing head. Sleepy Hollow Cemetery was established in 1849 and serves as the final resting place for some of the town's earliest settlers, including members of the Van Cortlandt family, who played a significant role in the region's colonial history. However, it is not just the history of the living that draws attention to this burial ground, it is the history of the dead, and the eerie occurrences that have made this cemetery a hotspot for paranormal activity. Visitors have reported strange happenings that mirror the very legend that made Sleepy Hollow famous, from ghostly riders galloping through the woods to the distant sound of thunderous hooves on quiet nights. One of the most frequently visited sites within the cemetery is the Old Dutch Church burial ground, which predates Sleepy Hollow Cemetery itself. This small, enclosed graveyard is where many of the town's early Dutch settlers were laid to rest, and it is also the place where Washington Irving's Headless Horseman is said to rise from his grave each night in search of his lost head. According to legend, the horseman was once a Hessian mercenary who fought during the American Revolutionary War. He was decapitated by a cannonball during the Battle of White Plains in 1776, and ever since, his spirit has been doomed to wander the countryside, searching for his missing skull. Visitors to the Old Dutch Church have reported strange and unsettling experiences that seem to blur the line between fiction and reality. Some claim to have seen a shadowy figure on horseback lingering near the church walls, only to vanish when approached. Others have heard the distant sound of galloping hooves late at night, despite the area being completely deserted. One particularly chilling account comes from a group of teenagers who dared to visit the cemetery on Halloween night. As they stood near the church, they claimed to hear the sound of breathing behind them, deep, labored breaths that grew closer and closer. When they turned around, they saw nothing but the empty darkness of the graveyard, though they swore they could feel something watching them from the trees. Beyond the legend of the Headless Horseman, Sleepy Hollow Cemetery is said to be haunted by other restless spirits. The cemetery's oldest tombstones date back to the 1600s, and many of the people buried here lived through the tumultuous years of the Revolutionary War. Some believe that the spirits of soldiers who perished in battle still wander the grounds, their unfinished business keeping them tethered to the world of the living. Others speak of the ghost of a young woman who drowned in the nearby Pocantico River, her spectral form appearing near the river banks on foggy nights, her long hair trailing behind her like seaweed. Paranormal investigators have conducted numerous studies at Sleepy Hollow Cemetery over the years, many of them drawn by the town's literary legacy and the promise of uncovering real-life ghost stories. Some have captured strange anomalies on camera, shadowy figures moving through the graveyard, orbs of light hovering above the tombstones, and whispers that seem to come from nowhere. Others have recorded disembodied voices on audio equipment, voices that speak in hushed tones, their words unintelligible yet undeniably human. Despite its haunted reputation, Sleepy Hollow Cemetery remains a place of historical significance and quiet reverence. It is a place where the past feels almost tangible, where the weight of history presses down on visitors like a thick autumn fog. Whether you believe in ghosts or not, there is something undeniably eerie about walking among the headstones, knowing that the legends of Sleepy Hollow may be more than just stories. For those who dare to visit, Sleepy Hollow Cemetery offers an experience unlike any other, a glimpse into a world where the line between myth and reality blurs, and where the headless horseman may still be waiting, just beyond the veil. Mount Olivet Cemetery, the haunting of the bell which nestled in the rolling hills of Clarksville, Tennessee. Mount Olivet Cemetery is a place where history and legend intertwine in the most chilling ways possible. Established in the mid-19th century, this quiet burial ground is the final resting place of countless individuals, from Civil War veterans to prominent local families. However, it is not just the history of the dead that draws attention to this cemetery, it is the legend of the Bell Witch, a spectral entity that has haunted the Bell family for generations and continues to be tied to Mount Olivet Cemetery today. The story of the Bell Witch is one of the most well-documented and terrifying ghost stories in American history. It begins in the early 1800s with John Bell, a prosperous farmer who settled in what is now Robertson County, Tennessee. In 1817, strange occurrences began to plague the Bell household. At first, it was minor disturbances, objects moving on their own, whispers in the night, and the sound of footsteps in empty rooms. But soon, the haunting escalated into something far more sinister. The family reported being physically attacked by an unseen force, with invisible hands pinching, slapping, and even dragging them out of bed. The entity became known as the Bell Witch, a malevolent spirit that seemed to target John Bell specifically, tormenting him relentlessly. According to legend, the Bell Witch claimed to be the spirit of a woman named Kate Batts, a neighbor of John Bell who had accused him of cheating her in a land deal. Before her death, Batts allegedly cursed Bell, vowing that her spirit would seek revenge. Whether this was true or merely a superstition of the time, the haunting persisted for over a decade, ending only with John Bell's mysterious death in 1820. His final moments were particularly unsettling. He reportedly begged his family not to let him drink from a glass of elderberry juice, claiming it had been poisoned. Despite his protests, he was forced to drink, and minutes later, he collapsed and died. To this day, the cause of his death remains unknown. The Bell Witch's legend did not end with John Bell's death. Over the years, numerous accounts have surfaced of people encountering the spirit in various forms, from a beautiful young woman to a monstrous creature with glowing red eyes. Some believe that the witch's spirit is still tied to the Bell family, while others claim that her presence lingers in the land itself, particularly around the Bell Witch Cave, a secluded cavern on the outskirts of Clarksville where the spirit is said to reside. However, one of the most unsettling connections to the legend is Mount Olivet Cemetery, where the Bell family was laid to rest. The Bell family plot in Mount Olivet Cemetery has become a site of paranormal activity, drawing both skeptics and believers alike. Visitors have reported strange occurrences near the gravesite, from sudden drops in temperature to the sound of whispering voices that seem to come from nowhere. Some claim to have seen the figure of a woman standing near the tombstone, only to vanish when approached. Others have reported feeling an overwhelming sense of dread, as if they are being watched by something unseen. The most chilling accounts come from those who claim to have heard the sound of a woman laughing softly in the distance. One of the most famous incidents involving the Bell Witch's ghost occurred in the 1950s when a group of teenagers decided to spend the night in the cemetery as a dare. According to their accounts, they set up camp near the Bell family plot and began telling ghost stories around a fire. As the night wore on, they noticed that the temperature had dropped dramatically, despite it being a warm summer evening. Then, they heard a soft tapping sound coming from the direction of the Bell tombstone. Thinking it was just an animal, one of the teens approached the grave, only to find nothing there. Moments later, they heard a voice, clear as day, calling out, "John Bell." The teens fled the cemetery in terror, later swearing that they had not spoken the name aloud. Over the years, Mount Olivet Cemetery has become a hotspot for paranormal investigators, many of whom have attempted to capture evidence of the Bell Witch's presence. Some have recorded strange voices on audio equipment, whispering in an unknown language, while others have captured what appear to be shadowy figures moving through the graveyard in the dead of night. Thermal imaging cameras have also picked up inexplicable heat signatures near the Bell family plot, despite no one being present. Whether these phenomena are truly the work of the Bell Witch or simply the result of suggestion and superstition, one thing remains certain: the legend of the Bell Witch is far from over. Despite its haunted reputation, Mount Olivet Cemetery remains a place of historical significance and quiet reverence. It is a place where the past feels almost tangible, where the weight of history presses down on visitors like a thick autumn fog. Whether you believe in ghosts or not, there is something undeniably eerie about walking among the headstones, knowing that the spirit of the Bell Witch may still be watching, waiting. For those who dare to visit, Mount Olivet Cemetery offers an experience unlike any other, a glimpse into a world where the line between myth and reality blurs, and where the echoes of a centuries-old curse still linger in the air. The old burying ground, shadows of the past perched on the edge of the Atlantic Ocean in Charleston, South Carolina, lies the old burying ground. A cemetery whose history is as rich and complex as the city itself. Established in 1684, this historic burial ground is the final resting place for some of Charleston's earliest settlers, including prominent figures from the American Revolution and the Civil War. However, beyond its historical significance, the old burying ground is steeped in a tapestry of legends and ghost stories that have drawn both the curious and the brave to its haunted grounds. The cemetery is surrounded by a wrought iron fence, which, though aged and weathered, stands as a testament to the passage of time. The headstones, many of which are adorned with intricate carvings and inscriptions, tell tales of lives long gone, but the stories they hold are not merely of the deceased. They are of the living who have encountered the supernatural within this hallowed ground. One of the most famous legends is that of the White Lady, a ghostly figure said to haunt the cemetery, dressed in flowing white garments. According to local lore, she is the spirit of a young woman who fell in love with a sailor who was lost at sea. Heartbroken, she wandered the cemetery each night, searching for her lost love, and it is said that her spirit still roams the grounds, forever yearning for a reunion that will never come. Visitors to the old burying ground have reported a variety of eerie experiences that lend credence to the cemetery's haunted reputation. Many describe feeling a sudden chill in the air, even on warm summer nights, as if the very atmosphere is thick with the weight of sorrow and loss. Others have heard the sound of a woman sobbing softly in the distance, only to find no source of the sound. The most unsettling accounts come from those who claim to have seen the White Lady herself, standing near the entrance of the cemetery or wandering among the tombstones, her face obscured by the shadows of the night. Hollywood Forever Cemetery, where the stars never truly fade, nestled in the heart of Los Angeles. Hollywood Forever Cemetery is more than just a final resting place for some of the entertainment industry's most iconic figures. It is a place where the past refuses to be forgotten. Established in 1899, this sprawling burial ground is the final home of legends such as Johnny Ramone, Mel Blanc, and Douglas Fairbanks, and it remains one of the most visited cemeteries in the United States. However, beyond its historical significance and celebrity graves, Hollywood Forever is steeped in eerie occurrences that have led many to believe that the spirits of the departed have not truly left this world. From unexplained sightings to chilling whispers that echo through the mausoleums, This cemetery is a place where the veil between the living and the dead feels disturbingly thin. One of the most well-known paranormal phenomena associated with Hollywood Forever Cemetery is the legend of the White Lady of Hollywood. According to local lore, a young actress named Maria Ewing lived in the early 1900s and was on the verge of stardom when she was tragically killed in a car accident outside the cemetery gates. It is said that her spirit has never left, and witnesses claim to have seen a woman in a flowing white dress wandering the grounds late at night, her face obscured by the shadows. Some visitors have reported feeling an overwhelming sense of sorrow in certain areas of the cemetery, as if the air itself is heavy with grief. Others have described hearing the faint sound of sobbing coming from the distance, only to find no one nearby when they investigate. Another chilling tale linked to Hollywood Forever involves the mausoleum of Johnny Ramone, the legendary guitarist of the punk rock band The Ramones. Since his passing in 2004, fans have reported strange occurrences near his final resting place. Some claim to have heard the faint strains of a guitar playing in the dead of night, though no one is present. Others have described seeing the shadowy figure of a man standing near the mausoleum, only to vanish when approached. One particularly unsettling account comes from a group of tourists who visited the cemetery late at night. As they stood near Johnny Ramone's tomb, they claimed to hear a voice whispering in their ears, "Hey, let's go!" before suddenly feeling a sharp push from behind. When they turned around, no one was there, but the sensation of being touched lingered long after they left the cemetery. Beyond individual hauntings, Hollywood Forever Cemetery is also said to be a place where the energy of the entertainment world lingers. Some paranormal investigators believe that the sheer amount of passion, ambition, and emotion that once filled the lives of those buried here has left an imprint on the land itself. Visitors have reported strange fluctuations in temperature, with certain areas of the cemetery feeling unnaturally cold despite the warm California climate. Others have described feeling an unseen presence watching them as they walk among the graves, as if the spirits of the departed are still observing the world they once ruled. Lakeview Cemetery, the watchful eyes of the dead tucked away on the eastern edge of Cleveland, Ohio. Lakeview Cemetery is a vast and serene final resting place for some of the most influential figures in American history. Spanning over 285 acres, this historic burial ground is home to the graves of presidents, industrialists, and war heroes, including President James A. Garfield and John D. Rockefeller. However, beneath its meticulously maintained gardens and towering mausoleums lies a darker legacy, one of unexplained phenomena, eerie encounters, and the lingering presence of the dead. Among the cemetery's many mysteries, none is more unsettling than the legend of the Hazarat Angel, a statue that has become the subject of countless paranormal reports and whispered warnings among locals. The Hazarat Angel, also known as the Angel of Death, stands over the tomb of Francis Hazarat, a prominent Cleveland businessman who died in 1904. Carved from marble, the statue depicts a winged figure draped in flowing robes, its face obscured by a veil. What makes this particular monument so infamous is the unsettling belief that the angel's eyes follow visitors as they move around the tomb. Many who have visited the grave claim that no matter where they stand, the angel's gaze always seems to lock onto them, as if silently watching their every move. Some have even reported feeling an overwhelming sense of dread when standing near the statue, as if they are being judged by something beyond the veil of death. Beyond the Hazarat Angel, Lakeview Cemetery is riddled with reports of paranormal activity. Visitors have described hearing faint whispers in the wind, their voices speaking in languages long forgotten. Others have claimed to see shadowy figures lurking between the tombstones, only to vanish when approached. One of the most frequently reported occurrences is the sound of footsteps echoing through the empty pathways, despite no one else being present. Some believe these footsteps belong to the spirits of Civil War soldiers buried in the Soldiers' Circle, a section of the cemetery dedicated to Union veterans. Others suggest that the cemetery is home to the lingering energy of those who lived extraordinary lives, their essence refusing to fade into oblivion. Oakland Cemetery, a city of the dead tucked away in the heart of Atlanta, Georgia, lies Oakland Cemetery, a place where history and the supernatural intertwine in the most unsettling ways possible. Established in 1850, This sprawling burial ground is the final resting place for some of Atlanta's most prominent figures, including former mayors, Civil War soldiers, and even the infamous Margaret Mitchell, author of Gone with the Wind. But beyond its historical significance, Oakland Cemetery is steeped in legends of the paranormal, with countless reports of ghostly apparitions, eerie whispers, and inexplicable phenomena that have cemented its place among the most haunted cemeteries in the United States. One of the most chilling legends associated with Oakland Cemetery is that of the Weeping Angel. Nestled among the graves in the Victorian section of the cemetery stands a statue of an angel, its head bowed in eternal mourning. According to local lore, this angel is said to weep at night, its silent tears falling onto the grave below. Some believe the angel is mourning the loss of a young woman who died tragically in the late 1800s, while others claim it is the guardian of a long-forgotten secret buried beneath the stone. Visitors who have ventured to the angel's tomb late at night claim to have heard the faint sound of sobbing, only to find no one nearby. Others have reported feeling an overwhelming sense of sadness when standing near the statue, as if the sorrow of the past is seeping into the present. Elmhurst Cemetery, the phantom of the White Lady nestled in the quiet town of Elmhurst, Illinois, lies a cemetery that has become the subject of countless ghost stories and eerie encounters. Elmhurst Cemetery. Established in 1872, this serene burial ground was once a peaceful resting place for the town's early settlers. However, over the decades, whispers of the supernatural have transformed it into one of the most haunted cemeteries in the Midwest. Among the many legends tied to Elmhurst Cemetery, none is as chilling as the tale of the White Lady, a spectral figure said to wander the grounds in search of a lost love. According to local lore, the White Lady was once a young woman named Eleanor, who lived in the mid-1800s and fell deeply in love with a traveling musician. The two were inseparable, their romance blossoming beneath the shade of the cemetery's towering oaks. However, tragedy struck when the musician was called away to fight in the Civil War. Before leaving, he promised Eleanor that he would return to her, no matter the cost. Desperate to keep her beloved close, Eleanor made a fateful decision. She vowed to wait for him at the cemetery's gates, believing that if he ever returned, he would find her there. Years passed, and Eleanor remained faithful, standing at the cemetery's entrance each night, scanning the horizon for any sign of her lover. As time wore on, the townspeople grew uneasy, whispering that Eleanor had lost her grip on reality. Some claimed she had gone mad. Final reflections, echoes beneath the headstones as we bring this journey through America's most haunted cemeteries to a close. One truth becomes undeniable. These sacred grounds are more than just resting places for the dead. They are living archives of history, tragedy, and the unexplained. Each cemetery we've explored carries a story etched in sorrow, a whisper from the past that refuses to fade. From the voodoo-infused tombs of Lafayette Cemetery to the spectral riders of Sleepy Hollow, from the Weeping Angel of Lakeview to the mournful White Lady of Elmhurst, these locations remind us that the boundary between the living and the dead is thinner than we dare to believe. What makes these places so haunting isn't just the legends or the ghostly encounters, it's the humanity at their core. Every grave holds a life lived, a moment frozen in time, a story that demands to be remembered. Whether it's the anguished cries of the Bell Witch's victims, the restless souls of Civil War soldiers buried at Oakland Cemetery, or the eternal vigil of Marie Laveau's followers, these are not just tales of terror. They are echoes of real lives, real pain, and real history. They invite us to confront the unknown, to grapple with mysteries that defy explanation, and to consider the possibility that the past is never truly gone. It lingers in the wind, in the stones, in the shadows of every headstone. Yet, even as we explore these haunted corners of the United States, we must tread with respect. These are not mere attractions or backdrops for thrill-seeking adventures. They are places of mourning, of memory, and of unfinished energy that deserves our reverence. Whether you visit in person or simply immerse yourself in their stories from afar, remember that every creaking gate, every shadow in the corner of your eye, every chill that runs down your spine could be more than just imagination. It could be a voice from the past, waiting to be heard. So, dear explorers of the unknown, as you step back into the light of the present, carry these stories with you. Let them remind you that history is not confined to books or museums. It walks among us, hidden in crumbling crypts, windswept mausoleums, and the quiet hum of forgotten prayers. And who knows? Perhaps the next time you find yourself near one of these haunted grounds, you'll pause at the gates, heart pounding, breath held, wondering if the spirits of the past are watching you just as closely as you're watching them. Until our next descent into the shadows, stay curious, stay brave, and above all, stay listening. The dead have more to say.